rebuild the economy and reopen the economy. I just want to welcome everyone today and welcome the city of Bossier with us. And if the mayor chimes in and is able to log in, then we will talk to him. And Pam, I know you're communicating with him, and he can also just dial that number and that is in the email and maybe call in as well.
Okay, let me.
So this is our largest group yet. And, you know, on last Thursday, President Donald Trump released the guidelines for opening up America again. And there are 4 phases to that. And these are just guidelines for us to follow. And that's actually him speaking to the governors to each of the states. And then on Friday, the state of Louisiana, Governor John Bel Edwards, announced his Resilient Louisiana Commission, which is a commission of about 18, if I remember off the top of my head, commissioners that are serving on that. And underneath each one of these, under the commission will be task force. And so the task force will range from healthcare to economic development to retail, manufacturing, and so forth and so on. If I start naming them all off the top of my head, I'll say something wrong. But and the folks that are going to be participating in those task force are all still being asked to participate at this time and are saying yes or no if they can. But all of the chairs, to my knowledge, have all been put into place for those task force, and the governor will be announcing those here shortly. So then that brings us from the national to the state to the local level. And so we're here within Bossier City and Bossier Parish. And so what does that mean for all of us? And now that these guidelines have been put out there, and we've been seeing today because of that, I've been reading on social media, businesses saying, we're opening, we're doing this, and what have you. And we want to make sure that we stay with underneath the governor's stay-at-home orders. So we have got to make sure that we maintain that, because those orders have not been lifted as of yet. So if you're an essential business, you're allowed to continue to work as you have been. And I see Pam is talking to the mayor here, and we'll get her to speak to us here in just a second as to what all of these recommendations mean. In the meantime, if you have any questions, if you would please put those in the chat, and we will answer those questions. So Pam, I see you there.
Hi.
Yeah, welcome to technology, right? We're all in this together.
We're learning as we go these things.
So can you kind of tell us, Pam, what does it mean for the president to put out his recommendations to the states, and then the governor announcing his Resilient Louisiana Commission? What does that mean for us here locally?
Well, what it means for us is we'll soon have a guideline, a game plan to tell businesses when asked, what do I do and how can I come back online? How can I reopen? Because there's different categories of businesses that are out there, from salons, which were non-essential, to hardware stores, which were essential, which are already open. But then there's that in-between retail as well. We're waiting for that guideline to be issued state on how to progressively tell people what to do. We know we want to inch into it, but we want to inch quickly and very progressively once we start.
So with these guidelines, does that mean that businesses can, if they have their PPE and their personal protection equipment, the mask and the gloves, can they just go ahead and start opening their doors, or is that a misnomer out there?
That's a misnomer, Lisa. Right now, we're still under the protective order of the governor. Remember, that's still in place. And what we're waiting for the next 10 days, there'll be some guidance issued from the governor's office and the task force that he has put out there with that mission to design these guidelines. So people just need to have a little more patience. I know everyone's anxious to get reopened, but we've got to do it in a methodical manner. If we just all jump out there, we'll be back to square one, which is not what we need. Bosier's done real well. We were recognized by the governor Friday in his press conference as being one that has followed the stay-at-home order, and we've just got to continue that. So patience is what we ask. We're doing it at City Hall. We're gradually bringing in some people to work, but we're trying now to figure out how will we phase in when the general public comes through the doors. How will we control our courtroom when those people come in for civil court? How will we control the people coming in to pay a water bill or tax bill or any other necessity coming in the city hall? That's what person needs to be thinking through how they would do that. The CDC has some great guidelines that are online that a person can go down and pull down right now. Just common sense. Masks that could be in place, gloves if you feel you need that. Uh, the 6 foot social distancing we know is going to be in place. That's something that's given. So we're looking at putting in marks where people will stand to pay water bills and such as that. So thinking that through, so when that May 1 date rolls around, we'll all be ready. So when that day comes in, now we know automatically we won't be able to have great mass events like concerts and such as that. Those will be eased in, and that's what the president's guidelines did. It eases it in one gradually time. So patience is what we need this week. I know people are anxious, but patience, patience, patience.
Yes, and I so appreciate you all joining us today on this chamber chat, and because we are anxious, and as business owners, as as consumers, we're ready to get out. I'm ready to get my hair done. I'm ready to get my nails done. I can't tell you how many men I've seen posted about their long hair. They're ready to get to the barber shops, but we can't just do that because of the social distancing that we have seen. Data has shown that this is working. And at a national and a state level, everything is driven by data. Now, Pam, there have been some questions about, but we're not New Orleans. We're North Louisiana, and it's much different up here. So why can't we just go ahead and open the Northwest Louisiana and New Orleans stay the way that it is?
Because we don't want to New Orleans, simple as that. I mean, we're part of the state of Louisiana. We're up in that northwest corner of the state, but we've got the proximity of Texas nearby and Arkansas. We've got to protect our community. True, we're not New Orleans with the density of New Orleans, but we've got to abide by. I can't emphasize again, a little patience. It's going to fly by. The last 3 weeks, last week flew to me. We were all busy doing our own thing. Same this week as people get more in tune. I know they're antsy. I saw them out Saturday. People are out there. How many people can go to Lowe's at one time to buy a screw? I don't know, but they're doing it. But little patience is what folks need, and think through what would you want to do, common sense, to keep yourself safe, your family safe, and your coworkers safe when you go back to work.
I think we lost Lisa for a second due to the internet. I don't know if everyone else has noticed, but with increased people at home on the internet, some of us are having more technical difficulties than normal. So, Pam, thank you for all that information. I think that's all good common sense stuff for us to
It
pay
really
attention to. Of course. I know that I just put it in the chat, have, with the guidance of the U.S. Chamber, they've come up with a document that talks about many of the different issues that we will face as we try to reopen the economy, businesses, and such. And so I've linked that in the chat. If any of you want to access that on your own time, you can save the chat in this function if you're on the desktop version, and if not, that will be in our e-newsletter tomorrow. Also, we know people have increasing interest and questions about the U.S. Chambers just released an independent contractor guide for unemployment and loans and such, and we know that we're looking for Congress to pass more money in the Paycheck Protection Program loans. And so just know that we're watching all of that information as well. But we wanted to have this time to kind of talk about the things you're looking forward to whenever you reopen, and things that you think you would implement that might be different than when you left your offices in March, probably, but also the challenges that you are thinking about facing. We know some people will be more um, comfortable returning to their office space, or going to pay a bill like Pam was talking about, and some people will be less so. So Pam, I don't know if you've heard from anyone any specific challenges, or that anyone's preparing for, or tips. And then if not, we can take some questions from any business owners.
No, I mean, I've not heard any challenges. I think people are seeing, or more and more people are wearing the face mask. What I see once we do reopen will be, uh, not maybe required. It could be required facial mask as we go in public environments, just like we're going into our hardware stores now. I see more people doing that, being proactive to avoid spreading any possible germs that might be out there. I don't see use of rubber gloves. Of course, we've all hopefully learned sanitize and wash our hands uh, every 20 seconds, and wash your hands as much as you can. But what the social distancing, I think, is going to become the new normal. We're doing things like right now, we're ordering tape to be put on the floor, on the carpet, every 6 foot at intervals to keep people spaced out in pavement lines or court lines going into the public courtrooms now. Look for that to become the new normal at the parish as well, going into the courtrooms there. Uh, Life as we knew it before April 1, or March 23rd when it started, is going to be different. And that's just a matter of fact of life. The guidelines issued by the government will become the way we live. Uh, Fortunately, I'm curious what will happen when airlines now on economy flights, will they get a little more spread out as we
Right?
learn to fly again? Just things to stop and think about. But I haven't heard any challenges, but I look for facial masks to be probably required of people that are working in personal hygiene, hairdressers, salon stylists, barbershops. I see that becoming a way of life for those people, at least for the immediate future.
And I know I
So,
talked today to my, I had to do a telehealth with my pediatrician's office. And I told them, I was like, I really, I mean, this is easy. I don't have to get out and wait, in the waiting room. And if my child was sick, I'd prefer to wait at home or in my car for you to call me in instead of sitting in a waiting room with other sick children. And they said they think, that will be a change that's come out of this, that they may keep long term. And so I think there are some things that have changed that kind of will be a benefit, that people have learned to pick up technology faster and things like that because they've
Well,
had to.
we're hoping that as well. We've tried to encourage people to make their water bill payments online, utilize the online payment services we have available using a credit card or a check. And we hope that that stays in place because it will help us cut down on that foot traffic that's coming in simply to pay a simple water bill.
Right. Lisa?
yes, so Pam, I'm back.
Hey,
I don't know that I think she just lost me on the screen, but I logged out and came back in. So, hey, everybody, I'm back.
it had a little
Um,
trouble thing there.
right. So a couple of things that you had said earlier about us not being New Orleans, and that we are still a part of Louisiana, is that we are a border state community, just as you had talked about being close to Louisiana, I mean, to Texas and to Arkansas. And I saw some data today that stated that it's really going to be the Midwest. Texas, Arkansas, and all of the Midwest are going to see their peaks during this week. And that's something that we need to be aware of, and that it was already predicted, and Louisiana saw its peak last week, as it was with the larger metropolitan areas, the New Yorks and what have you. But our bordering states are going to see their peaks next week. So we still need to be vigilant and abiding by the CDC guidelines, wearing our mask in public. And just because folks tend to think from the very beginning that children are not susceptible to this. It is highly recommended that if you feel the need or you have to take your child out in public and you as an adult are wearing a mask, put one on your child. Go ahead, if you're protecting your child as well as anyone that may come in contact with them around the area. So, and then the other things that you just spoke about, Pam and Jessica, with the automation, and that's what we can continue to do to assist our local businesses or the restaurants that are able to be open, not for dine-in, but for carry-out and pickup and delivery, is as much ordering online and using, if it's the Venmo, if it's the PayPal, or whatever the medium is, to be able to pay online, to continue to do that. Because if those credit cards are passed from hand to hand, even if you have gloves on, they say, I'm not a healthcare professional, but you're still passing those, that contamination back and forth, even with gloves on, unless you choose to wash your gloves that are on your hands between everything that you touch. So the bottom line is washing your hands, washing your hands, washing your hands with or without gloves, and then the face mask as well. So with me going out and back in, Jessica, I can't see everything that is in the chat. Do we have some things? It appears that there are some things here now.
Well, I'll first mention it's National Libraries Week, I believe, and we had a library comment about the libraries have gotten are getting some recommendations nationally, I think, but they're prepared with masks, gloves, and hand sanitizer, and offering curbside pickup at the library, which would be new. And then the Institute of Museum and Library Services is conducting a study regarding the longevity of the COVID virus on specific types of library materials, so they can figure out proper sanitation of those. So that's very good that things like that are being thought of. Like the library book that you're going to get, you obviously would want it to be as clean as possible. So I mean, yeah, these are the things that we're going to have to all be conscious of when we reopen. And then
And for those that joined us late, yes, we invited Mayor Lo Walker to join us today on our chamber chat to talk about the steps of reopening the business. And we worked with him for about 5 minutes. He's working out of his home to be able to join us, and he was not able to get on. Pam Glorioso, our CAO, our Chief Administrative Officer, is here with us today, and she was working very diligently with the mayor to try to get him connected, and it was not successful thus far. So yes, he was eagerly wanting to visit with all of you, and we will try to get him on again, and for whatever reason, he was not able to connect. Pam, we do have a question for the city. It says, will the mayor authorize Bossier City businesses to open in at least a phase 1 status if the governor does not issue a statewide phase 1 opening by May 1st?
At this point, say we are going to abide by the governor's rule, Lisa. I think the governor, I just saw a little alert, a notification go through that they're working toward going toward phase 1. So I actually don't see that coming reality. I see May 1, there is the implementation plan is there by the governor.
So what you're saying is that the stay-at-home order is through April 30th, and on May 1 is when we, at this time, anticipate phase 1 rolling out?
We anticipate something being rolled out this week out of the governor's office is what we're looking forward to.
And when that happens, the local municipality, the mayor's office, y'all will follow suit with that?
We will. We will follow the protocol that's outlined in that plan.
Okay, thank you. I think that answers that question. Any other questions out there? If you've called in and you're not on the visual and you're on a telephone, you're more than welcome to unmute yourself and ask a question.
Actually, I have them all muted, so if I unmute them, there's going to be a lot of back feedback. So I can do that real quick in case a call-in user would like to speak.
Thank you, Jessica.
I have them all unmuted. I think, hold on, sorry. A few more. Okay. All the call-in users are unmuted, so if you have yourself muted as well and would like to ask a question, you can unmute now.
I'm sorry, this is AJ Fisher calling in, and could you just repeat, I came in late, could you repeat what phase 1 is? The governor's calling phase 1.
Yes. Just one moment.
Lisa, Mayor Walker,
Well, hello, Mayor.
You made it.
well, I've been listening to y'all for about 10 minutes or so, but I couldn't get anybody to acknowledge that y'all were receiving me, but I've been listening for the last 10 to 15 minutes.
Because you were call in.
Let me just see if I can address that last question about what phase 1 is. What that is, there's about 3 different points there. First is all vulnerable individuals will continue to shelter in place, and there'll be slow coming back to work, but we're going to stay with the distancing, and if we're in public, there would be people that could go to parks, outdoor recreation areas, shopping areas, but with reduced numbers of people. Still avoiding socializing of groups of more than 10, not more than 10, so non-mission essential travel have to comply with CDC guidelines. So really those are the only things that is mentioned in these guidelines from the federal government, and all it is guidelines. And Pam did a good job of explaining what the situation is, but these things that were developed by the president and his staff with the intent that it could be that the governors will be expected to implement them, and we're not going to do anything specific until we know exactly what the governor's going to give us. But like Pam said, we think we'll probably get that this week, and then we can start giving y'all some good answers like Pam was giving you earlier.
Mayor, thank you, and officially welcome. I apologize, since you called in and we had them all muted, we found you. So my apologies, and I'm so glad that you've been with us for the last several minutes. Mayor, we do have, and we have had each week, a multitude of salons and or locally owned fitness centers. And as we know that is usually real close proximity whenever they are doing hair or doing training with fitness plans. When do you foresee these types of industries being able to get back open?
Well, all I could be doing right now is making a educated guess, but you won't be able to do much really different until you get to phase 2. And the suggestions for phase 2 is when the public you could go to public things such as parks, outdoor recreation areas, shopping areas, and we should be expected to continue the settings. But the only thing a little different in phase 2 is the social settings then could go up to 50 people, but still with appropriate distances between. So non-essential travel could begin in phase 2. So those are about the 2 big things that might occur when we get to phase 2.
Thank you for that. So what I'm hearing is that in phase 1, it is absolutely critical that we stay within these guidelines to avoid any kind of a jump in positive cases and folks ending up in the hospital and all, so that we can move to phase 2 in a timely manner.
Hang on.
That's right, Lisa.
So I think you can, are there any other callers? And we'll get Jessica to mute the callers again, except for Mayor Lowalker.
Lisa,
Hey guys,
can you hear me, Lisa? This is Ann, Fitness Lady.
Yes, Keji.
Okay, my question is this. I was under the understanding after listening to President Trump the other day that phase one would involve gyms. Our question, of course, is we're not going to open with classes or childcare, but we would like to do one-on-one personal training, keeping our distancing, washing statements, all those things we need to do to make sure people are healthy. Is that part of our phase one? Can we do that? Or did Mr. Walker just say that it would be part of phase two? Or did I misunderstand?
I think, Keji, and I don't mean to speak on behalf of the mayor, but I'm looking at, to show you all, if you can see me, phase one in writing right here from the president. And phase one on is vulnerable individuals, just as the mayor had spoke about, and the avoiding the socializing in groups of more than 10 people and minimizing the non-essential travel. So we can, I'll be happy to put this on our blog, on our bossierchamber.com page, so that everyone can look at that document directly and see where your industry fits in. And then if you have any additional questions, then you can ask us all.
Lisa,
Yes, sir.
can you still hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, under phase one, under the portion of the federal recommendations or suggestions or specific types of employers that I want to tick off a few of them. For example, under phase one, if schools and organized youth activities, such things as daycare and camp that are currently closed, should remain closed. Visits to senior living facilities and hospitals should be prohibited. But those who do interact with residents and patients must adhere to strict protocols regarding hygiene. Large venues, and they define large venues as sit-down dining, movie theaters, sporting venues, places of worship, can operate under strict physical distancing protocols. Elective surgeries can resume as clinically appropriate, but on an outpatient basis at facilities that adhere to CMS guidelines. Gyms can open if they are adhere to strict physical distancing and sanitation protocols. And lastly, bars should remain closed. Those are some specifics about businesses in phase one.
There you go, Keji. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
I think we had one other call in person. Actually, it just gives me a number, call in user 19, who started speaking up maybe at the same time as Keji, and I have you unmuted if you had a question.
yeah, guys, it's Rocky. Hey, Mayor, how are you? Is this you doing well, sir?
Doing very well.
The guidelines published? Good. Is the guidelines published somewhere that we can get a look at them? Are they the federal or are they the state guidelines, or is there something that we can get a look at and start coaching people?
They certainly are available. In fact, Pam printed me out a copy, and Pam will tell you in a minute how you can get them. But I want to point out that these are just proposed state and regional guidelines, and they're not locked in concrete, but the general idea is that the federal government is coming out with these proposed and suggested guidelines, but it will be up to the states to actually implement them with some negotiating. And it mentions that we may do it, one state may do it one way, another state a different way, but even within the state, we may do it different by parishes. As has mentioned earlier, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, a lot of difference in Keachai and a few other places. So all it is right now is a suggested guideline, but the real authority that we will have to comply with is what comes out of the the governor's proclamations. But yes, it is.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Pam, can you tell them how to get this copy of the guidelines that you got from me?
I sure can, sir. Rocky, if you'll go to whitehouse.gov, and it's Opening America.
Yep.
Thank you all. Thank you, Pam. Thanks, Mayor.
You bet.
Thank you, Rocky. We do have a question. Bryant Garcia is unmuted. Oh, we can't hear you.
He needs to unmute himself. Maybe.
If you want to send me a message, I can ask if we can't hear you. I'm sorry. And then it wasn't a question as much as a comment, I think. Where did it go? I'm sorry. The chat got hard to find stuff on. Samantha was saying that they're going to do split shifts at Posh so that people can stay 6
So Posh
or
is a
more feet
salon.
apart and have no more than 10 people in the salon at one time. No guests in the waiting area. Change gloves between each guest. Wear protective mask and sanitize. So, sounds like you have a good plan. And thank you for being on again today. Oh, let me see.
Mr. Garcia, can you hear us? Or can we hear you?
Oh, we can't hear.
We can't hear you. You'll type it? Okay, great.
Does anyone else have a question? I'm happy to unmute you if you do. Or I don't know, you might be able to unmute yourself at this point because I just muted you on entry. Or you can type a question and I can ask it, but y'all have anything else?
Brittany Spivey with Simply Chic. Are you still with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you, you are our small business of the year and locally owned boutique. What have you been doing during this unprecedented public health crisis that we've been going through to keep your business afloat?
Well, we're a women's boutique, and we've been in our spot for 10 years. What we've been doing is we've been shipping for free and we've been delivering for free. So we may ship out 10 to 15 packages a day and then deliver 15 to 20. We just kind of decide on the distance and try to make it as easy as possible. And some of our customers are like, wow, you're quicker than Amazon. And right now I feel like a small businesses, that's who we're competing with. It's, is everyone ordering online in those big box stores. We're trying to be just as convenient for them. So hopefully they'll shop with us and keep us afloat.
Great, thank you. And Chris Graham, you have started the Bossier City's farmer market here in town. I assume you're still with us. And you've even found a creative way to maintain the farmer's market. Are you with us?
I am here, Lisa, and we are getting creative for sure. We're going to go through to a drive-through format where we'll have actually two moving lanes of slow-moving lanes of vehicles driving through the market area, and of course we'll be, the vendors will be on each side, of course, so customers can do their shopping. It's still free admission, and I would say free parking, but we really don't want anyone to park. We want them to drive up and drive through, and of course they can make as many laps through the market as they want to, and all the vendors will be wearing masks, and we'll have hand washing stations and things like that available. But yeah, we're going curbside.
So what you're saying is that if we have a traffic jam in the farmer's market, that's called a success story.
I would agree with that, but again, with 2 lanes of traffic and of course the huge area out at Pier Bossier Mall, I don't think we'll have too much of a problem. I mean, it gives you a 5-hour shopping window from 9 to 1 too. I'm toying with expanding that if we do have any traffic issues, though.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. And Brittany, thank you for sharing as well. And Keji, thank you for sharing as well. Mayor and Miss Pam, Mr. Garcia He works for the 318 Latino and Miss Vita Reiner. And so they are working to inform our Latino community. As we know from our census in 2010, we have one of the largest Latino communities in Bossier City and Bossier Parish per capita growing. Their interest is there any way that they can help communicate to the Latino community the things that are being offered just as they are to anyone else, and where can they find that information? Because I'm sure there's going to have to be some translation in that. So they're there to help spread the word as well.
Okay. Lisa, I assume that is in Spanish online to the White House. I will have to check, but I can get back to you tomorrow and find out if it's available in different languages.
Absolutely. Okay. And of course, Mr. Garcia, I work very closely with Vita as well. And so y'all can send me any questions and we will get that information out to you for the Latino community to make sure that your businesses are able to start during phase 1 and phase 2 and get everything that they need as well. Okay. I'm looking at you like you're looking at me and I'm shaking my head. Okay. Okay, good. Thank you. Let's see. When it comes to the big box companies that are still open, and is there someone that is communicating with those big retailers about social distancing and making sure that their customers are staying within 6 feet? I have noticed a few times that I've had to go to the grocery store, they've put for checkout lines that where just please stand here for the social distancing. But I'm going to go out on a limb here. There comes a time when that we as individuals have to step up to the plate with responsibility and know that we don't, if we're practicing good social distancing, that we should not be standing right behind someone or while they're shopping on the shelf, standing right next to them, to be kind and considerate and wait until they're through and then move up. But is there anyone out there that is policing that?
Lisa, I'll take that.
Okay.
Okay. We have a joint team of the sheriff's office and the city police department that have started 2.5, 3 weeks ago, visiting businesses that we heard were open, and they go in, they make a visit to assure that they're abiding by the social distancing, sanitizing, and the majority of people are. A few that were advised of it, and they are in compliance, and they're each week probably hitting about 20 to 25 small businesses around town, anywhere from in Old Bossier, the Maggio corner grocery store, to leaving people outside. One goes in, one goes out. Dollar Mania, to people staging in, to Harbor Freight, for people allowing only 10 people in the store at one time. One goes out, one goes in. So I would say overall, I would give us an A. That I think we've got good compliance. Walmart, the big box stores, I think the corporate of the stores at Walmart's done really well. I noticed a few issues in Kroger, but I think they're coming up to the plate a little bit. But overall, and I think there's a courtesy that people are affording each other as they're shopping to keep their distance, because you're protecting yourself when you're shopping as well by keeping your own distance.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so just any other last minute before we sign off? Jessica, do you see anything?
Sorry, I muted myself. No, I have not, but I'm putting Lisa's email address in the chat box so that if y'all have any additional questions, you may email her so that we can address that.
So, Mayor, are you still with us? Would you like to have the final word?
I would just say I appreciate what the chamber is doing to try to help us word out to the community. I'm giving every Thursday at 9 a.m. I'm recording a sort of a report card on how things are going, and I'll be Pam and I will be forwarding where you can contact, or rather to locate that information, and it'll be addressing this hot topic of when can we start phasing into the next operation. So we will feed y'all the information just as soon as we get thinking, get something that we feel like is creditable and is consistent with the state directives on this sensitive issue.
So Mayor and Pam, I again want to say thank you very, very much for joining us today and answering our questions directly. And to our businesses that are still on the call, we want to invite you to join us for a virtual networking event on Wednesday at 2 o'clock. And all you have to do is email Jessica at bossierchamber.com, and she's going to put you on a special call with our diplomat volunteers. And that's where we as businesses can share ideas with one another, and we hear your concerns so that we can share those questions upline to the municipalities, to the mayor, and to the governor's office, or whomever. So with all of that, thank you all for joining us today. Happy Monday, and y'all have a fabulous week. Wash your hands, social distancing, and we will make this together. Take care.
Thank you.